So the theater in my town is finally showing The Brutalist. This is the A24 Oscar-nominated film starring Adrian Brody, Felicity Jones, Guy Pearce, Joe Alwyn, and others. And boy, is this movie's an experience. So it has a runtime of roughly, I think, 3 hours and 34 minutes. And I think that does include the 15-minute intermission. There is an intermission in the movie. Either way, it's a long movie. It's an experience. It feels like I lived a lifetime in that theater. You know, the movie is basically taking you through the life of a person, and you feel like you lived every bit of that life sitting in that theater watching the movie. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think the movie needed to be that long, and it needed to do what it did to tell the story properly. But it's a long movie. You know, I'm not going to lie about that. I'm not going to say it's not a time commitment, because it absolutely is. 3.5 hours is a long time to sit in a theater seat. So I was a little bit nervous to go watch this film, because basically all I knew about the film was that it was a 3.5 hour movie about a brutalist architect, an architect that designs buildings in the brutalist aesthetic. And I just didn't know if that was going to be terribly interesting to me. It's A24, and I like A24 generally, so it had that going for it. That's probably one of the main reasons that I gave it a chance. But having just watched it, I gotta say, it is genuinely a good movie. It's a sad movie. It has its very sad moments. I would probably liken it to Killers of the Flower Moon. That was another long movie, and that's a movie that I don't think I would ever really want to go back and watch again, at least not too often, because it's kind of heavy. I think Killers of the Flower Moon is heavier than this one is, but this is a heavy movie, and it's a long movie. Your heart starts to kind of feel like it's been taken on an emotional trip, which it has been. I think I discovered as this movie went on that this is not only, or maybe not even mainly, a movie about a brutalist architect. I think this movie is more so about the hardships of being an immigrant, being misplaced from your homeland. I think this is a film about how we use art as a way to express inner feelings that otherwise couldn't be expressed. I think it's a commentary maybe on obsession and greed in a way. This movie also has commentary, I would say, on wealth disparity and capitalism and business, and how different the world is for somebody who has money to burn and for somebody who barely has enough to survive, and just the frivolousness of one lifestyle, the carefulness of another. So this movie follows the fictional life of a man named Laszlo Toth. He's a Hungarian architect that, along with his family, gets displaced from Hungary because of war. He is able to come to the United States. His wife and his niece are not. They're stuck at borders in Europe. So this movie basically follows Laszlo Toth's life, starting out from when he first comes to America to kind of the sunset days of his life, where he is a renowned and recognized architect in the United States. So like I said before, big themes in this movie are the hardships that Laszlo goes through, being a immigrant that came from Europe, having to learn English, having to learn kind of the customs of America, not really having much to start out with, basically being somebody who, you know, had an occupation in his home country, to being somebody who was displaced and really didn't have much to start out with. Just the tumultuous nature of that, being separated from his family, obviously. A lot of the movie has commentary regarding this immigrant experience, how tough that is, how hard that is, and what that can do to a person, what that can do to family dynamics, even when you are reunited with your family. Because as the movie progresses, he obviously experiences some very difficult things in America, while his wife and his niece experience very difficult things in war-torn Europe. And so when they come back together, there's this difficulty of experience where they don't have this shared experience, and that is tough for them to get through. And it's tough for them to reunite and be able to carry on in the way that their relationship was before. It's following the life of a human being and showing you how brutal, how wonderful, how hard, how exciting the human existence can be. It's really taking you through that arc of somebody's life. And that's why it can be such an emotionally kind of gripping film, and why it is tragic. Is it a long movie? Yes, but I think it did need pretty much every minute of that 3 hours and 30 minutes that it spent telling this, again, fictional story. I think had you tried to compact this character's story into a shorter movie, I don't think it would have worked quite as well. It would have felt rushed. There's many different styles of long biopic movies or long character movies. So one example, which is of a real person, would be Oppenheimer, which was, for a like 3-hour movie, it was very fast paced. It kept you moving through his life. It spanned a lot of time, but it seemed like it fluidly took you through his life in a faster paced way that was really effective in that movie. This movie also spans a long period of time, but I would say it does it in a different way. It takes a section of his life and it really lets you simmer in that part of his life. It kind of holds there for a while, lets you bathe in the atmosphere of this particular moment. Then it jumps in time, and then you get to bathe in the atmosphere of another moment of his life. There's moments of it that are almost kind of surreal, and I think that's very fitting of this movie because it captures what he's going through, what his experience is. It's kind of capturing his obsession. It's capturing his sorrow. It's capturing his ecstasy at times. It's capturing some of the things that go along with his addiction throughout the movie. And it also goes really well with this brutalist style architecture because that can almost look very surreal at times. So this film is very vibey. It's an experience. It's a long experience. It's an emotional experience, but it's a really good film. I completely understand why there were acting nominations that came out of this for the Oscars. Adrien Brody gives just a fantastic performance. He gives a really good performance. Everybody really gives a good performance. Guy Pearce was a pleasure to see in this. Really, I did not have any quabbles with acting in this movie. Everyone did a fantastic job. The scoring, the editing all felt very apt and natural for this movie. And the cinematography, obviously, was very beautiful as well. It was a very well shot movie. So would I recommend this movie? Absolutely. It was a good movie. Like I said, I don't think I would necessarily watch this again, or at least not anytime soon, because it is a heavy movie. It is a long movie. It's a little bit taxing. Usually I rate the films that I watch out of 24. I came up with that because I like A24 movies. I just thought it would be cute to, rate them out of 24. It turns out it's a little hard to visualize what something out of 24 is. So I think I'll just move to a 5-star rating system because I also use Letterboxd, and that just, that integrates well with their 5-star system. So I would say I would give this a 3.5 out of 5. This may be unfair to say, but I feel like because of its length and because of its heaviness, I feel like, that lowers the score a little bit. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe some of the great masterpieces are not movies that you'd want to watch every few months. But it was a good movie. It's just a chunky movie. It's a heavy, chunky movie. And I think that just bumps it down a little bit in my mind. So if it's in a theater near you and you want to devote the 3.5 hours it takes to watch this movie, I would highly recommend it. I think it at least deserves the time that it takes you to watch it once. I think it deserves that. It's a good enough movie. So hope you have a good day. I'll see you later.